Hi guys, it's Lynn Van Nui. I'm honestly not digging this lipstick. I'm gonna be right back. So anyway, it's time for another story time video, and I'm going to be telling you guys about this guy that my husband and I know. Now, this guy used to be really good friends with my husband, and they're not friends anymore, and there's quite a long story that goes along with this. So sit back, grab some snacks. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you like Storytime videos, please give this video a thumbs up. I upload Storytime videos the first Sunday of every month. Let's just get straight into it. So my husband had this friend, and for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna call him Frank. That name request was put in by Will. If you guys don't know, Will and I went to the same high school, and we both went to the same high school as this guy named Frank. Will and Frank were good friends. They hung out in the same circle. I hung out in a completely different circle, but I had a few classes with Frank, and Frank was always really outgoing and super talkative and kind of like talked to everybody, so like him and I talked sometimes, just like acquaintances. And part of the reason that Will and I even started seeing each other was because of Frank, because basically what happened was I was out with some friends and he was out with some friends, and I ended up going over to their table because I knew Frank and some other guys sitting at the table. So anyway, after that night, Will and I started seeing each other. So when Will and I started seeing each other, he told Frank, and Frank said, get ready for this, Frank said, "She's a cool girl. I almost dated her once." Where was I for this conversation? Because I literally cannot recount one instance of me almost dating Frank. Frank and I were acquaintances. We hardly ever spoke. When we did, it was because we were in the same class together, and that was it. So yeah, Frank tells Will, "Oh yeah, Lynn's a cool girl. We almost dated once." And I wasn't the biggest fan of Frank to begin with. I mean, he was alright. He was a little different. I wasn't particularly fond of him, and I had basically told Will this, and later on, Will had basically said that I wasn't a big fan of Frank to Frank, and Frank's response to this was,
"She's just mad because she asked me out once and I rejected her."
No. I don't recall that ever happening, just like I don't recall us almost dating. Although that's probably the same instance. We almost dated because I asked you out and then you rejected me, so now I hate you. Okay. So as you can probably tell, Frank's a little bit of a psychopath. He is a compulsive liar, like lies all the time. Later on down the road, I think it's like a year into Will and I dating, like we were seeing each other for a couple of months, basically just being fuck buddies, and then we actually started dating, and we were going to Canada's Wonderland, which is an amusement park here in Canada, just outside of Toronto, and we would go all the time, but we were looking for a fourth person to go with us, because we like to go in groups of 4, that way we can kind of all switch off on rides and stuff, and it's more fun than just Will and I riding roller coasters over and over again. We always try and find a small group of people to go with. It's more fun that way for us. So we were looking for a fourth person, and Frank said,
"I'll go."
And I was kind of like, can we try and find someone else? But he ended up going. We couldn't find another fourth person, and I ended up being okay with Frank by the end of the trip. He made me laugh a lot, we got along okay, and there wasn't really any issues, so I was like, hey, you know what? This is just stupid high school stuff that happened. Let's chill out, right? Frank and I were cool. Then, you know, time goes on and on and on, and Will and I have been dating longer and longer and longer, and Frank just sort of starts falling off the map. I'm not the type of girlfriend to keep my husband at home, or boyfriend at the time. I am like, yeah, like go hang out with your friends, do your own thing. Like, I'm totally independent. I like having my own space. I like being able to do my own things sometimes. Like, go hang out with your buddies. Go do whatever it is you want to do. Like, I don't care. I don't keep Will on a tight leash. I actually used to do that with a lot of ex-boyfriends, but I've grown up a lot and I trust Will, so I'm like, yeah, like, go get out of the house. You're driving me nuts, basically. Don't keep him on a leash at all. So go hang out with your friends, whatever. And Will would try to constantly make plans with Frank, and Frank would be like, okay, yeah, we'll do this on this day, blah, blah, blah. And then it came to that day and Frank was nowhere to be found. Frank was constantly ditching Will and just falling off the map, ditching him, giving up excuses that were like the dumbest excuses I've ever heard in my life. It was just annoying me. And poor Will over here is like the most passive, most lenient person. He's like so chill. He doesn't like confrontation. He's like this meek little puppy dog. And I'm Lynn. I am loud, I'm obnoxious, I speak my mind, I'm opinionated, and I was pissed that Frank is treating my boyfriend, treating my husband like this. So what does Lynn do? Lynn gives a talking to Frank. I have given this kid so many talking tos, like at least 3, and he would be like, oh, I'm sorry, blah blah blah, I'm gonna make more of an effort, because, you know, I'm that person that's like, okay, like Will is giving 110% into this friendship and you're giving 0%, maybe even -5% into this friendship, and you need to, you know, reciprocate and not be such a fucking dick and just fall off the face of the earth for no fucking reason. Frank was like,
okay, I'll try harder, blah blah blah.
And it would be good. Frank would hang out with Will. And then Frank would fall off the face of the earth again and start giving up excuses again. It was a vicious cycle that happened countless times. Actually, it probably happened about 3 times over the span of like 3 or 4 years. It was just ridiculous, okay? So, up to speed a little bit now on the relationship here between Frank and Will and I. We have been having these issues, blah blah blah. We have our buck and dough for our wedding, and Frank shows up, and Frank goes to give me a hug, and I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna be civil. And Frank says to me,
I know you hate me, but I wanted to come support you guys anyway.
never once did I say I hated you. I simply want you to show up. I want you to just show a little bit of effort. Just a little bit. And you can't even do that. But you know what? I don't hate you. I don't hate a whole lot of people. I hate like 2 people, and you're not one of them. And I never said I hated you. He's like,
I'm so sorry, blah blah blah, I'm gonna try.
And our wedding is about a month after the buck and dough. And he's supposed to be one of the best men. So, flash forward about a week before the wedding. He's supposed to be one of the groomsmen. I think before I said best man. No, he was supposed to be one of the groomsmen for our wedding. He is not returning any of Will's calls or messages or Facebook messages. And it's like you can see he's on Facebook. He's on social media. But he's just flat out ignoring Will's Facebook messages. He's flat out ignoring his text messages. Sometimes they're read, but then he just doesn't reply because, like, who does that? Who replies to a text message, right? And then we have our wedding. Guess who's nowhere to be found? Frank. There's a hair on my mouth somewhere. But anyway, we have our wedding. We haven't heard from Frank in like more than a week. We have no idea where he is, why he hasn't shown up to our wedding. Like, we just haven't heard from him, and we kind of assumed a couple of weeks before the wedding that something was gonna happen and he was just miraculously not gonna be there. So we kind of planned for that because we knew Frank was like this. We were like, okay, let's just assume that he's not gonna show up because chances are he's probably not gonna show up. And what do you know? He didn't show up. He was nowhere to be seen. Nobody had heard from him. Like, so then, like 2 weeks after our wedding, he messages Will. He doesn't say congratulations. He doesn't say, I hope you guys had a nice wedding. Sorry I couldn't be there. Nothing like that. He says,
I wasn't at the wedding because I moved 5 hours away.
Frank moved 5 hours away, or however many hours away he moved, and didn't tell us, didn't say congratulations, didn't say I hope you guys had an... So he's living out at this like resort or whatever in like this Canadian city. He took his mother to live with him at this like resort because his mom has a lot of mental health issues, and like I totally understand that because I have mental health issues. I have PTSD, depression, and generalized anxiety disorder, as well as probably like anger issues and like other things, like maybe a little bit of OCD. I don't fucking know, but I deal with mental health, so like I totally understand. And his mother has like pretty bad mental health issues. Okay, so I'm just trying to give you like a visual of like what's happening here to get you up to speed because it gets fucking awful. So she's living with Frank at this resort place, whatever. And it's basically because his mom can't take care of herself really. Like, she's just in a really bad place. She can't afford to like be instituted or like to have home care or like things like that, right? So Frank takes care of his mom. which is fine, except for the fact that something happened. I'm not entirely sure what it was, but basically the resort that Frank was working for told Frank and his mom that for whatever reason, she had to leave the resort or Frank was gonna get fired. Frank has this fucking chef job and he's apparently engaged, which we found out through Facebook somehow. I don't know. Nobody told us. Basically, we found out that Frank's engaged. And apparently he's about to be fired because of his mother. Somehow she like did something that like implicated his career somehow. I don't know. But you know what? If your mother has mental health issues, you should stick by her. You know what Frank did? Frank said,
"Get your ass back home, woman."
Maybe he didn't say that, but basically that is what happened. You know what I mean? Like, she had to fly home by herself. She has no money, no job, no home, nowhere to go. She had no one to pick her up from the airport. She actually had asked Will to go pick her up from the Toronto airport, to which he couldn't. He actually had to work that day. But anyway, she's in a bad mental health state and Frank was just like, "Hey, fuck you, bye." That's my story time. Didn't really have a purpose. I just wanted to let you know that there are some fucked up, stupid, idiotic people in this world that I know and my husband used to be friends with, and I'm just disgusted by this person. Like, I don't hate this person, I just don't fucking care. You know what I mean? I hope that something happens to Frank where he can fucking open up his eyes and go, "Oh shit, I'm kind of a shitty fucking person. I'm a compulsive liar. I didn't take care of my mother. I shat all over my friends." Like, what the fuck you doing with your life, man? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he had mental health issues himself, because it can be like sort of passed down through like genetics and things like that, and clearly he has some issues going on, but I don't know. I dislike this person and I'm not a fan of what kind of person he is. I hope you see this, Frank, and I hope you realize that you're kind of a shit person. Yeah, that's my story for this month. Kind of a downer. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. I hope that you guys don't know any people like this, and I certainly hope you're not a person like that. Just remember that it takes nothing to be kind to one another. A simple smile can go a long way. But anyway, don't forget I post all my social media links down in the description box below. You can follow me on Pinterest, Twitter, fucking, I don't know. I have a Facebook page now. I recommend following me on Snapchat. That's where I'm most active. Yeah, hit that subscribe button. So until next time, keep shining. Bye, guys. Seriously thinking about like sending the link to this video to Frank.